They're disgusting. I can't even look at them. All the hair, how unnaturally they move. Why can't they just have the normal amount of legs? Blech. We didn't have many of them back west where I grew up. Too hot for them. My wife gets mad when I kill them. They're God's creatures, she'd shriek at me. Pestilence. Pestilence is what they are. A blight. I don't have the patience for that. I have a clean home, and it will remain clean. I was bitten by one when I was little. I was playing out by the shed. It'd be easier to write off how I feel about them as a result of the trauma, but it's just not the truth. When that thing bit into me, and I saw my terrified little face reflected back at me in those eyes, I knew those things were no good. I didn't need the scars on my arm to figure that out. Following the sound of my screams, my dad found me and killed it without a second's hesitation. I had just pulled into my driveway, made it through another terrible office party. My wife was sick, so she couldn't come out. I could see how sick she was through the blinds of our front-facing window as I walked up our steps. Noise-canceling headphones on and a bottle of rosé in her lap. I could see the reflection of baking show reruns in her glasses. I shouted over her snoring. "Here, Sparky! Here, boy!" Where was he? All his toys were out. I almost stepped on his squeaky plush fly he loved so much. Assuring myself he'll show up at some point, I hung up my coat, slipped off my shoes, and headed upstairs. God, was I beat. I stepped into our bedroom and started to change out of my work clothes and into my PJs. If she was downstairs dozing, I might as well read. I'd been on a non-fiction kick, and this book on LBJ came highly recommended. It came so highly recommended, I put it on the top shelf, like an idiot. I considered grabbing a chair, but I just didn't have the energy. Suddenly, a time and energy-saving alternative came to mind. Tiptoes. Now on my tiptoes, I could just barely reach it. My fingers brushed the edge of the hardcover. Not enough of a grip. I tried again, stretching until I could hear my shoulder popping. Nothing. Aggravated and just wanting to read my damn book, I jumped slightly to get the extra few inches I needed. I could feel my fingers close around the thick spine of the book. However, as I came back to earth, I lost my balance. Trying to steady myself, I clung onto the only thing of substance close to me. The bookshelf. All in the span of a second or two, I heard the creaking of old, heavy wood, the shifting of dozens of authors' life's work, and extreme pain and darkness. I woke up gasping and struggling for breath. Thankfully, it didn't look like any of the glass broke. I tested out all my limbs as best I could from under the weight of the local antique shop's pricey floor model. My right leg throbbed in biting, persistent pain. I may have broken it. Badly. It felt wet. I needed to get to a doctor. I started screaming for my wife. It took a few tries before it hit me. The headphones. I tried to use the rage of my realization for fuel to shift off this mahogany boulder. Nothing. I was about to try again, but then I thought I saw something flit by out of the corner of my eye. I stopped and craned my neck to look around me as best I could. Nothing. The new light bulbs I'd gotten were probably too bright and casting shadows. I placed my palms against the edges of the shelf, ready to try again. That's when I heard something. Something I hadn't heard in a very long time. Not since the shed in the backyard. I panicked. I had to get out. I had to get out. It was here in the room with me, and there was no one to help me. My fear gave me just enough motivation to shift the bookcase enough so I was on my belly and not prone on my back. Now I was face to face with it. The dead, black eyes. The fangs dripping. It was coming closer and closer. I froze. I couldn't move. I was a scared little boy out by the shed again. Dad wasn't here to save me. I closed my eyes. I had my eyes clamped shut for what felt like ages. What was happening? I'd never heard of them playing with their food. I'd always thought they just went right for the kill. Opening my eyes, I saw it lying there on the carpet. Dead. Suddenly, its limp body started to jerk around and rise into the air by a fine, silvery thread barely visible by the overhead lights. Looking up, I sighed in relief. Sparky! I could see him looking down at me with his 8 goofy eyes. He maneuvered his large frame silently down his thread, wrapped his 8 long brown legs around his dinner, and began to mummify it. Sparky, can you go get Mommy? Sparky's legs paused as a few of his eyes looked my way. Then he skittered off out of the room, leaving his dinner hanging there. Moments later, my wife came barging into the room, saw the hanging thing, screamed, saw me stuck, possibly bleeding, and screamed again, then called 911 as the both of us struggled to get the bookcase off of me. At the hospital, the x-rays confirmed I'd had a compound fracture. I'd be off my feet for almost 8 weeks. Sparky was more than a little bit annoyed that they had to take his dinner away from him to identify it. He hid on the ceiling of the TV room and wouldn't come down except for treats. But eventually he came around. He's happier than he's ever been with me home, and I've never been more grateful to have him under my roof. The wildlife recovery people said it was called a Labrador. Pretty rare for the area. Thankfully rare, I'll say. And to think, some people actually keep those things as pets.